Welcome to part 2 of our story so far with the small, terrible, and a dragonborn party. Thanks for sticking with us.
The Altar of Tempus is another turning point in our story. The party never expected to find a lost and forgotten temple below Duren village, and they definitely didn't expect to find it by Naraxis touching a small stone symbol on the wall in a fishing shack. But that's exactly what happened. Far below the village, a massive stone room stood in silent contemplation, waiting for someone who still believed to visit. This is not the party's first brush with an old god, but it's the first time they find out how tied their stories are to that of the First World and the gods who died. Tempus, goddess of war, power and honour, flame of the sword and shield, once had Naraxis as a trusted devotee. And the battle axe he carries, named Forsaken Edge, is the one that he has carried since Tomor Falls. It was once his life's work for Tempus's trusted lieutenant, the Red Knight, and it's in the Altar of Tempus that Naraxis learns all of this. And also my wings. Let's not forget that. I have wings now.
And a bigger face. Snout? Anyway, you look good. Really good.
Thanks, I think. In order to retrieve the sword Ahana sought.
Which was definitely evil.
So I was right about the evil part.
The party enters the mountain tunnels and finds a dragon, withered, mostly bone and bits of stringy flesh, chained to the ground. Upon freeing it, the dragon transforms into a robed, skeletal figure named Kaluth, who tells them what to expect ahead, namely his former master, Ralashaz, an entity of madness and pain who will challenge the party to play his game. Forging ahead, the party finds a set of massive golden doors, and inside, only a tiefling named Camion. Camion serves Ralashaz against his will, and the party manages to set him free.
Yeah, that's kind of our bad.
Usually, setting someone free who has been held against their will is not a mistake. However, in this case...
They fucked up. I mean, they did. Let's just be honest about it. We all witnessed it.
Let's not jump ahead, however. There's an ancient god to fight. The Maze of Ralashaz proves to be challenging on several levels, pushing at the party's will and sanity. And when they find the sword, known as Grazchar, at long last, they also find the reanimated corpse of the ancient black dragon, Umbrasyl, and a woman only Hazel knows.
It was Camilla. After all this time, I went looking for her.
Camilla, held in place by the sword's power, was being used by Ralashaz. This fight proved to be more difficult than previous ones, for the madness of Ralashaz is fueled by cruelty and obsession. But once the corpse of Umbrasyl lay dead once again, and Camilla is freed from the sword, the party realises they're not free of Ralashaz quite yet. Some spark of him lives in the sword, and his desperation to be out in the world infiltrates their minds. I would like you to know that what happens next was very difficult for me, and yet not.
He was a little conflicted at first.
Zariel, Naraxis' patron, appeared to show her displeasure with the Dragonborn's disloyalty. She violently rips the pact from his arm and abandons him, but she was never his patron to begin with. Tempus was, and so she remains his. Back on the road, the party makes camp one night and has two visitors. One is unfamiliar to them in his form now. Balchan, the uncorrupted version of Ahana's patron, thanks the party for setting him free and grants them a wish. A single wish. After much debate, the party decides to take a resistance to necrotic damage. Their second visitor is Corful. Corful has been ordered to take Grazchar back to the Strife Emperor, as Ralashaz is a threat to his dominion. But Corful disagrees with this, and would like to destroy the sword once and for all. The party agrees, and between their magical powers and magic weapons, manage to snap the sword into several pieces. With the task done, Corful departs, and the party decides to head to Kymel. Ahana's journal tells them that another relic of the First World may be there. Kymel is close enough to travel to quickly, and the party heads out. Camilla parts ways with them, stating she's going to track down Misray, and lets Hazel know that there's a larger issue at stake with the Claret Order and the Lycans within it. In short, the Order is scattered after their headquarters was attacked by Yuan Ti and a fellow Lycan bloodhunter named Quentin. She sought revenge on Quentin and heard of the sword in the mountain, thinking it could be useful in her quest.
While traveling, the party is stopped by a messenger bearing a letter from the Imperialist, who invites them to visit him near Dagger Bay, for he has a job for them.
Bastard.
It's a sensitive topic for Elijah, as she's been informed by Alora Vysoren that the Imperialist holds her parents captive there. Entering the glorious, glitzy, grimy city of Kaimal is an event itself. A citywide party is raging, and our heroes get caught up in the revelry. But it doesn't last, as they find a familiar tiefling ranting and raving madly about a dead god. Camion sees them and panics, fleeing deeper into the city as several guards give chase.
I believe we'll see him again soon.
Or, as you said earlier, oops.
As the party wanders, the head of the Claret Order, Teresa Dolomar, finds Hazel and brings the party back to their hidden headquarters. Quentin, a Lycan bloodhunter who defected, is being interrogated there by Teresa and her right hand, Jorik. Hazel has some luck in questioning the man, learning that Quentin deeply disliked how secretive the Order was and wanted acceptance for his Lycan form instead of fear. Disillusioned, he was contacted by a being named Mazui, leader of a cult that worships an entity named the Great Hunter. It's the yellow-eyed hunter! He couldn't even get that right, that jerk face! They also discovered that Teresa's and Jorik's weapons are of dwarven craftsmanship, specifically from the bronze grip metalworks, Ulrin's family forge. The weapons are soul-bound, which is work Ulrin has never heard of and can't imagine the metalworks being capable of. They spend the rest of the day exploring the city, and after a restful evening in the mansion, they awaken to find Kaimal on fire. Goblins, demons, and orc ravagers run rampant in the city, and leading them is Camion, or at least someone looking like him. Upon being released from servitude, the fragment of Ralashaw's consciousness took over the weakened and susceptible Camion and is using his body as a vessel. The battle in the center of Kaimal is ferocious. The party is assisted by Teresa and Jorik, as well as Jactar Christian, Margrave of the city, and Jactar's cousin, Sean Gilmore. Yes, dead Gilmore. Jactar infers a scroll and creates a massive illusory dragon, which definitely turns the tide of battle. And the party realizes that they've seen another relic in action, the Scroll of Wonder. It's tied to Volkar's past in the First World, and now is with the Margrave of Kaimal. And yet another relic shows up in battle, the War Pride armor which once belonged to Naraxis, and is being worn by a powerful creature whose identity is unknown. In the aftermath of the battle, Ralashas and the one wearing the War Pride armor flee. Civilians fall prone to madness in Ralashas' wake, and the city is on fire in several districts. Gilmore informs the party that the Council of Taldori demands an audience with them, and an explanation for the destruction in Kaimal. The council meeting is tense and accusations are flung about. The party learns from Yorick that his oracle has fallen ill, but not before she recorded the revelations from her sight. There is a crack in the world, and it is slowly pulling things apart. What happens when the world breaks? As the meeting winds down, the council gets word from a scout tracking Ralashas that he has taken a horde of goblins and orcs into the ruins of Torfel, south of the city. Now tasked with tracking down Ralashas and putting an end to him once and for all, the party heads out.
Tracking down Ralashas isn't difficult, and while in the ruins and fighting goblins and demons, the party encounters two Tabaxis, 7 Storms and Lost Marble. It's me! I'm here! 7, a ranger, and Marble, a druid, are from a nearby druidic clan and wanted to observe the intruders into their glade. In the aftermath of the battle, 7 and Marble take the party back to their clan for rest and to exchange intel. The druid clan commits some reinforcements to the fight against Ralashas, and 7 and Marble go along as well. The door into the ruins is blocked by a magical barrier, one that the party cannot break. Volkar's little purple friend, known as Boz, appears and offers his and their assistance to the party. But that assistance comes with a price, one Boz is willing to pay. He and they were the god of music, revelry, and wine. Joyful chaos, gleeful abandonment. The barrier breaks, and as it does, Boz begs the party to forget the old gods and forge ahead to protect this world.
Volkar is definitely going to miss his little friend.
And with that, the barrier dissipates, and the final piece of Boz fades into nothingness. Another old god has perished. The road to Relishaz is littered with danger and battles. The party eventually finds the fabled Lost Road Inn, a neutral resting spot for any and all.
Lumping up milk!
And it's where Hazel and Marble invent this concoction.
It's like almond milk, but better, and comes from a giant nut.
It's a special drink, one we're still perfecting.
And leaving the Lost Road Inn and lumping up milk behind, our heroes find Relishaz and battle him over a massive pit of lava. Relishaz was their most dangerous foe yet, and proved to be nearly deadly as he knocked out Hazel and Elijah. The tide of the fight turned when Corfell showed up, and with his help, Marble dealt the final blow, ending Relishaz forever. Their price, beyond Relishaz's weapon, was an obsidian relic dedicated to Tempus, a well of pure power, and Relishaz was trying to claim it for himself. Once back on the surface, Seven and Marble decided to stay with the party for a while. The next step, once a long rest is taken, is to head to Dagger Bay and save Elisha's parents. Nearing the compound of the Imperialist, Hazel receives a missive via Barn Owl from Camilla, asking for her assistance in tracking down the cultists who murdered several of the Claret Order.
I just had to go. I knew they'd be okay. They had Seven and Marble with them after all.
And so Hazel departs for her personal mission.
But I'll be back. I promise.
The ruins of Onoa, where the Imperialist makes his home, loom over the coast of Dagger Bay. But despite the ominous air around the situation, the party is welcomed into Imperialist's compound. He wishes to employ the party to retrieve the history of the area. Books, maps, anything. From a nearby swamp where a sunken temple lays dormant. The Imperialist wishes to revive the area to its former glory, as it once was the seat of human civilization in all of Tal'Dorei. He also had guns. Lots of them.
The party hoped to do the job in exchange for Eliza's parents. They discover that Elisha's mother, Melina, seems to be ensorcelated in some way. Her father, Ordon, is not, and tells Elisha and the party what he can when the guards aren't around. Many people have been tricked into signing magical contracts, thinking they were finding honest work after being displaced by the Chroma Conclave attack a year ago. Instead, the Imperialist has forced them to work the land for his purposes. Like I said, bastard.
One of the things that Volkar had a problem with was, well, why don't they just kill him? Wouldn't that make more sense?
Probably because there's a lot of guards and we might get innocent people killed.
That would be bad.
Very. So we did the job instead, hoping for the best.
And indeed they did. Heading out into the jungle, the party encounters two interesting figures, a gnome and a turtle. Eggs, the gnome, and Sid, the turtle.
Excuse me, darling. That's Captain Sid.
Damn straight, boss.
Apologies. Captain Sid. They're tracking a missing member of their crew, and they believe him to be in the grips of the Imperialist. Intrigued by the party and wanting to get closer to the compound, Eggs and Sid tag along to the sunken temple. The temple is one dedicated to Ayun, the all-seeing mistress of knowledge, and it held much for the party as they explored. Maps and history were found for the Imperialist, but the party also encountered a projection of Ayun herself and her predecessor, Istis, goddess of time and planar travel. The party knew Istis as Al, the owner of Tabernacle's global emporium. Revelations come quickly in the conversation with Ayun and Istis, and the party gained a deeper understanding of their place in the First World history. They also become even more resolved in their task to recover the lost relics and discover who or what is behind all the chaos that's happened since they set out for Maquette many months before. They also found out that current gods killed the first world ones in an attempt to stop a catastrophe. It's a lot to take in. Upon returning to the Imperialist compound, they exchanged the history they discovered for the release of Melina and Orden, as well as the release of Sid's missing crew member. And so the party made the difficult decision to walk away from the Imperialist, trusting that other heroes might put an end to him. The party takes some downtime to handle personal issues, including getting Eliza's parents set up in the new stronghold in Joren. Seven and Marmul do some exploring and training, and Ulrin heads out with Sid to her ship for a party. Neuraxis checks on the progress of building a new home for the Dragonborn outside Amon. Volkar goes on a tour with the Barnacle Bards. And we get caught up with Hazel as she hunts cultists with Miss Ray and Camilla. Once the party gathers together again, Sid decides to tag along with them for a bit, hoping that staying away from her crew, as hard as that is, would keep those who have been tracking her away from her found family. And as it turns out, those hunting her happens to be Neuraxis' adopted twin brother and sister who have taken up a life of pirating.
Ooh, tension intensifies.
And as the party decides where to head next, Tyrax appears at the stronghold and provides more information. Apparently, the Crystal Chateau in Marquette has suddenly closed to the public, and Vasselheim is calling for a council of the continents. The party's information about lost and dead gods and an obliterated First World has been shared with leaders of the other Exandrian countries, and this truth is rocking them to their cores. Vasselheim, the seat of the religious world, is calling our heroes blasphemers and traitors.
Pretty rude, honestly. We've done nothing.
Well, that statement might not exactly apply for all of us.
And so the party heads for Craghammer, knowing that they will have to deal with Ulrin's exile, but it is unavoidable at this point. The mountains call, and Ulrin knows he must return. And the Well of Souls awaits the party's approach.
I'm coming, you guys. I'm heading back.
Did you all hear that?
Hear what?
Oh dear, Neuraxis is hearing things again.
Oh great, here we go again. That's usually a bad sign.
It is time for the Sugar Goblin to return.